All right. Hello and welcome back to Seahawk Boys TV. We're going to rebrand it and call it Seahawk Boys TV now. Thanks for being here. And I swore yesterday that I wasn't going to do any more NFL draft stuff. And I lied. I flat out lied to you guys. I'm really sorry and I apologize. But there is one thing I decided to do. I started getting a lot of flack, a lot of pushback in the comment sections on the different YouTube channels I'm spreading this thing around on. And by the way, if I did have a choice, I would absolutely prefer that you go over and like and subscribe and watch on the Seahawk Boy. Well, it's the Seahawk Boys TV now, right? It's yeah, Seahawk Boys TV. I'll redo that. Used to be the Seahawk Boys Fearlessly Stupid NFL channel. I prefer you like, subscribe, hate, comment, rip me a new one over on that channel because I am trying to grow the channel a little bit and would like to eventually get around to monetization. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I'm going to try. And every channel starts out small. It's got nothing to do with any of my other stuff you may know me for, any of this stuff on financial reset or aliens or any of that cool stuff that I'm known for. So come on over to Seahawk Boys TV, and I do really appreciate it. But one of the things that's happening on the various YouTube channels that um, I am broadcasting this stuff on in the last month or so is that I'm getting a lot of, oh, I'm sure glad you're not the general manager. I'm sure glad you're not the owner. Well, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. If I had been the owner or the general manager last year, I will tell you that there are a couple people that would be on the team that are not on the team. Um, Starting with CJ Stroud. I would have traded 5 and 20 and this year's pick, Byron Murphy. It turned out to be Byron Murphy, 16, and even a 2025 second round pick to go up and get the number one pick from the Bears. That's more than the Panthers gave to the Bears. They gave 9, and this year's number one pick, which turned out to be the top overall pick, and a 2025 second round pick, and DJ Moore, the wide receiver. Now, if I had to, would I throw in DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett into that deal? Yeah, would have done that. But let's assume I wouldn't have to do that. Let's take a look at the points values and the juice and just say, okay, so we would not have on our team, we would not have Jackson Smith Najigba. We would not have Devon Witherspoon. And we would not have Byron Murphy. And we probably wouldn't have Leonard Williams, nor would we have Leonard Williams' enormous contract. If that's what I had to give up, 3 firsts and a second round pick to go up there to number 1 and get CJ Stroud, I would do that. But we would have a chance to win a Super Bowl in the future. We'd still have Kenneth Walker. We'd still have Boye Mafe. We'd probably still have Derek Hall, who's stiff. But we wouldn't have those 3 other guys. We might not have won 9 games last year. We might have won 8, but we still would have missed the playoffs. But we'd have a future at quarterback. We'd also have somebody's calling me. It's very distracting. We'd also probably have some better players like Ivan Pace. We would definitely have Ivan Pace. As owner, GM, I would put my foot down and we would have drafted him in the 7th round. So we'd have a starting middle linebacker. Means we wouldn't have to draft a linebacker this year. So, okay. I think my Seahawks team would be better than the one we have right now, with a better chance to go to a Super Bowl in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years. So what I thought about was, okay, I didn't want to really talk about the draft anymore, but what I thought about was, well, let's rerun this. Let's go back. People do draft redos all the time, but they do them from 2 or 3 years difference. 2 or 3 years down the road, how should we have drafted? We're not going to do that this time. You think that John Schneider is better at GMing than me? Okay, maybe you're right. I don't necessarily think that. And I think guys like Rob Staten really sell themselves short when they say to themselves they couldn't do a better job than John Schneider. Really? You couldn't do a better job than the guy who traded out of TJ Watt and Cam Robinson and Buda Baker to take Malik McDowell? You really think you couldn't do better than that? I do. I fucking think I could do better than that. And they also completely ignore the most important point, which is that these guys are supposed to be smarter than us. It shouldn't even be close. It shouldn't even be a debate. That's why they're making millions of dollars. They're supposed to be a lot smarter than us. So let's find out who's smarter. Okay. Let's do a 2024 Seahawks NFL draft redo based on reality, based on the picks we had. And there was one trade we were offered that is pretty well established. We were offered that I am going to take. And I'm going to give you who I would have drafted in each of these situations. And I've already put it up on my Twitter feed. Seahawk Boy Mike on Twitter X. And then a year from now, and 2 years from now, and 3 years from now, we'll revisit whose draft would have been better. Theirs, Clown John Schneider's, or mine. Okay, we're back. There's our little introduction. Let's get right into it. Let's not screw around. I don't want to be here for 45 or 50 minutes bitching and moaning and complaining about how much I think John Schneider sucks at GMing. Let's go right into the first round of the NFL draft. Now, we had the 16th overall pick in the draft. It was one of our few assets this year because of the trade for Leonard Williams, which I wasn't wild about at the time. I wasn't as down on it as some other people like Rob Staten, but I was down on it. So the Seahawks were sitting there at 16, and they took Byron Murphy the second. Now, as I told you yesterday, if you look at the Seahawks depth chart, it's you know, I don't think 34 defensive tackle was a desperate need on this team. We had Draymond Jones, we have Jaron Reed, and we have Leonard Williams, who we just spent a second round pick and a huge chunk of cash on. So I was not particularly excited about Byron Murphy, but let's just say that I'm the owner and John Schneider is my general manager. And he's saying, I really love this guy. I really love this guy. I'm saying, okay, what trade offers do we have? Well, we had a trade offer from Jacksonville. It is established. The Seahawks said they had trade offers. They didn't want to take them. So the pick after the Seahawks picked, Jacksonville and Minnesota exchanged picks so the Vikings could come up and get Dallas Turner. What was that trade? Because this is the trade the Seahawks were offered. It was 23 and 167, fifth round pick. So a first and a fifth and a 2025 third and a fourth. I'm the Seattle Seahawks. I'm taking that trade. So now I'm sitting on the clock at 23. Dallas Turner has gone. I'm going to assume Byron Murphy has gone. Amarius Mims, Jared Verse, Troy Fatanu, Chop Robinson, Quinyon Mitchell, Brian Thomas, Terrion Arnold, Jordan Morgan, Graham Barton. One of these guys in here, Turner, Verse, Fatanu, Chop, probably gets pushed down to 23. The Jaguars, I think, they take Brian Thomas, the guy they wanted. The key thing is the Rams and the Dolphins. Do they take the edge guys or do they not? I think there's a reasonable chance that Byron Murphy slips all the way through to us at 23. The Seahawks are now on the clock at 23. But we can't assume that, so we have to work with the guys that we have. Well, we missed out on Byron Murphy, but guess what? We are going to instead take another defensive tackle because we want to build in the trenches. We want to go defense, offense. John Schneider has talked me down off of the Spencer Rattler cliff. So who are we taking? Well, I'm taking Rook Orohoro. He's about 6 feet 4, 6 feet 5. He's 294 pounds, and he gets sacks. He had 12 sacks in college. He had five last year. The Seahawks have been looking for a tall inside pass rusher for a long, long time. We finally drafted one. That's what Malik McDowell was supposed to be. That was in 2017. So we drafted one. So we swapped out Byron Murphy and we took Ruka Rojo. Now, I'll tell you something else. I would be sorely tempted to have taken Tavondre Sweat. The other Seahawk boy Dave, love this guy, and he's gigantic. He's a 365-pound backstop nose tackle who I think would make a down to down difference in the running game. As opposed to, I'm not convinced Byron Murphy is really that guy. I think Byron Murphy is the standard 6'3, 6'4, 300-pound Jaron Reed type. So we're going to add to that group. I don't think the edges at 23 were worth taking unless Verse or Chop Robinson slips to 23, but we can't speculate on that. We just have to go with who is actually there. Okay, now we move up to pick number 81. Third round, pick number 81. We don't make any trades. And what do I do in this particular situation? Well, I stick and pick. And I'm going to take the guy. I misspelled it on my Twitter feed. Christian Haynes. That's the guard they liked. You got to trust your football people at some point. You go ahead and take Christian Haynes. Now, is he a better player than Zach Zinter? No, I think Zach Zinter is going to be a better player. But he has the broken leg. And I'm just going to say we don't know. We don't know who's going to be a better right guard, Zinter or Haynes. I didn't really know much about Haynes, but I'm going to say, okay, that's the guy you want. That's the guy you take. Actually, I should have flipped that and taken Zach Zinter. That's what I should have done. But oh well, nobody's perfect. Now we slip down into the fourth round, and we were at 102. I really want to take Spencer Rattler. They talked me down. And we slide down instead to picks 118 and 121. We have two picks in the fourth and the first pick in the fifth. So we have one, two, three picks in about the space of about 15 picks. This is the meat of our draft. This is where we're going to get really good. So at pick 118, the Seahawks take somebody named Tyrese Knight, a linebacker from UTEP, a small school. This pick was universally laughed at because he was considered Tyrese Knight. Let's take a look at Warren Sharp's metric. Tyrese Knight was expected to be pick 192. That's a sixth round pick. So the Seahawks took him 2 rounds farther up than he should have been taken. So who am I taking instead? I'm taking at 118, I'm taking safety Malik Mustafa. Why? Because we need a safety. Because guys like Rob Staten sold me on him, and he looks really, really good, and he's a big hitting safety, an impact playmaker. And we don't have to worry about safety again for a while. Okay, now we slip down to pick number 121, where the Seahawks took AJ Barner. Also a guy, if you slide over to Warren Sharp's metrics, we took him at pick 121. He was expected to be at pick 181. So we took him 60 picks and 2 rounds early on AJ Barner, a tight end. Am I arguing we don't need a tight end? No, I'm not arguing that. But with pick number 121, I'm taking the guy who was taken 3 picks after. I'm taking Cade Stover, the tight end from Penn State. Why am I taking Cade Stover? Because I like him better and because he can catch some passes. So I'm taking this guy, Cade Stover from Ohio State, instead of AJ Barner. 6'4", 251. He's bigger than Barner. He's a good enough blocker, and he can catch the ball once in a while. Okay, so we go tight end for tight end. We just take the guy who's higher rated and has the bigger name. All right, now we're up again at pick 136, the first pick in the fifth round. I have made no secret of this. I'm not taking Nehemiah Pritchett. I'm taking Spencer Rattler, the quarterback from South Carolina. I've waited long enough. I'm taking him. I think he's a starter in 2 years. I think he's a star in 3 years. And I think he has the potential to be a Super Bowl player someday. All right, after that, we have another fifth round pick, which we got in the Jacksonville trade. Pick number 167. Now, pick number 167 doesn't show up on the draft as ours. It's Jacksonville's, but we have it. It's the last pick in the fifth round. Who are we taking? Well, with our next pick, 179, the Seahawks took Satoa Lamea, an offensive guard from Utah. The problem is he's a right guard. We already have a right guard in Christian Haynes and Anthony Bradford. We need a left guard. So we're going to slide down here into the seventh round, where the Detroit Lions are late sixth round compensatory picks, where they took Detroit Lions took Christian Mahogany, who's played some left guard. We're taking him at 167, Christian Mahogany, to play left guard. And we're going to plug him in and let him compete for that spot. We've now drafted 2 offensive guards. We don't need any more. All right. Now we slip on down to the next pick, which is 179. Now, at that pick, according to the charts, we could get Tyrese Knight, the linebacker that we took way back up at the top of the fifth round. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say instead that we're going to take an available linebacker. I don't really know much of the linebackers here, but we need to get one on the roster. I'm going to take Darius Masal, the guy that the New York Giants took. All right. Our last couple of picks are 192. Pick 192. What did the Seahawks do at pick 192? Well, they took DJ James, a second cornerback from Auburn, after taking one earlier. Okay, fine. You can have DJ James at 192. I don't think we need a corner, but you seem to think you do. He's the guy on your board. You get him. Then our last pick is pick 207. What did the Seahawks do? They took Michael Jarrell, an offensive left tackle from a school named Finley. There's literally no information on this guy, but I believe it's been said he played left tackle. Great. I don't think we're desperate for a left tackle. I think we're going to take a chance that this guy slips on through the draft, or we bring in left tackles in free agency. Who are we taking instead? I'm taking wide receiver Brendan Rice out of USC. Why? Because he's a good receiver. He's got some speed. He's got some talent, and he returns kicks. So we flip-flop. Instead of taking the corner in the fifth round, we take the wide receiver in the seventh and let him return kicks. Let him be our kick returner. So sliding back over, let's review this. We trade down to 23. We take Ruka Rohoro. We stick and take Christian James, the offensive guard. At 118, we take safety Malik Mustafa. At 121, we take tight end Cade Stover over, what's his name? AJ Barner, the guy that we ended up taking. At 136, we take quarterback Spencer Rattler. And we keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster, or we cut Sam Howell, one of the two. At 167, we do not take We don't have that pick in our other scenario. We skip over Satoa Lamua and we take Christian Mahogany instead. Why? Because he's a left guard. He's played left guard, and I think he's going to be a better player. At 179, linebacker Tyrese Knight. I think he's still there if we want him, or we take the Giants linebacker, one of the two. At 192, we take DJ James, cornerback. And at 207, we take Brendan Rice. So the difference between my draft and John Schneider's draft is this. Arohoro instead of Byron Murphy. Malik Mustafa instead of who's the guy? Instead of Nehemiah Pritchett. Or sorry, Tyrese Knight. Cade Stover instead of AJ Barner. Spencer Rattler instead of Nehemiah Pritchett, the corner. At 179, we take the linebacker. We take a linebacker just to have a linebacker on the roster. At 192, we agree on DJ James. And at 207, we take Brendan Rice. So Arojo, Malik Mustafa, Cade Stover, Spencer Rattler, Christian Mahogany, and Brendan Rice. That's 6 guys that are different. I say that those 6 guys are going to be better than the guys that John Schneider took. And you can happily slide over to Seahawk Boy Mike Barra and comment on this if you'd like. And call me any name you want. But it's on the record now. Who's KS Mas Macho? Who is the better GM? Senor Clown Show Schneider or Senor Berra? Let's find out. Of course, if I'd been the GM last year, we wouldn't need to have taken Spencer Rattler because we'd already have CJ Stroud. We'd be in pretty good shape. So there it is. It's laid out. It's official. I'm not going to delete the video ever. And we're going to see who ends up as the better GM. A year from now, we'll review this. 2 years from now, we'll review it. And 3 years from now, we'll review it. And all of you guys that tell me I'm not a GM, okay, well, let's find out. Let's find out who really knows best. All right. Love you guys. Thanks for being here. I certainly do appreciate it. And again, get on over to Seahawk Boy TV on YouTube and Seahawk Boy Mike on Twitter X, and subscribe and follow and call me any name you want. See you next time.